Shocking behavior, Wright slams Alexander Isak. Over £150 million, Liverpool transfer, push, shocking behavior, Wright slams Alexander Isak. Over £150 million, Liverpool transfer, push. Arsenal legend. Wright has blasted Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak for his conduct as speculation mounts over a potential £150 million move to Liverpool. The 25-year-old has downed tools at St. James's Park, with several reports suggesting he is adamant he will never play for Newcastle again. Liverpool are understood to be pursuing a deal and had a British record £120 million being turned down earlier in the summer. Newcastle remain reluctant to sell their star striker despite his ongoing temper tantrum and still demand a fee of £150 million. Speaking on the Overlap's Stick to Football podcast, Arsenal legend Wright has weighed in on the situation, branding Isak's conduct as shocking. Wright said, "It doesn't look good. The behavior? It's kind of shocking. It's shocking behavior. I don't know what's happened with his agent. I don't know if his agent hasn't done the job properly. I don't know what it is, and if Liverpool were going to get him, go and pay the £150 million. I agree with Jamie Carragher. Liverpool told what it must do with Alexander Isak transfer. Alexander Isak is seemingly desperate to join Liverpool from Newcastle United before the summer transfer window closes, but he would command a huge transfer fee. Alexander Isak wants to join Liverpool. Dietmar Hamann agreed with Jamie Carragher after the former Liverpool centre-back told his old club that it should not pay around $200 million to sign Alexander Isak. Isak is desperately trying to force a move away from Newcastle, having apparently told the Northeast club that he has no intention of ever playing for it again. The Sweden international is keen to move to Liverpool before the transfer window closes, so much so that he has moved out of the home he has been renting in Newcastle. Last month, Isach ruled himself out of Newcastle's pre-season tour of China, and upon his return to the club's training ground last week, he was ordered to train alone. It feels like a long road back now for Isach to revive his Newcastle career, and it is absolutely clear that the player currently has no intention of doing that anyway. Liverpool saw a bid of £110 million, $150 million, for Isak's swiftly rejected earlier this month, with Newcastle said to value Isach at closer to £150 million, $204 million. There is little chance that Liverpool will go that high, but it is possible that the two teams will meet somewhere in the middle before the window closes. Carragher said last week that he didn't want Liverpool to spend over $200 million on Isach. It will be an amazing signing, but from a Liverpool fan point of view, I don't want the club to spend £150 million on Isach, Carragher said on the Overlap. I could probably imagine that he was Liverpool's #1 target, but there's something about Liverpool buying a striker, Ekitike, for £80 million, and he's a backup. There's something about it that doesn't sit right to me. Dietmar Hamann doesn't want Liverpool to pay over $200 million for Alexander Isak. Speaking to casino sites, Hamann agreed with Carragher. He said, "I think Liverpool have made their intentions clear now. If they can agree on a fee, they'll probably have to take Alexander Isak, because I always feel if things go public, you can't leave the player hanging. I think it'll be very hard for Isaac to go back to Newcastle now. Even if he doesn't join Liverpool, they've got to find a way of trying to integrate him back into the team. I suppose he will end up with Liverpool, Isaac, but how are they going to play then? That remains to be seen. I wouldn't pay £150 million. I agree with Jamie Carragher. I think £150 million is a spicy price tag for him. He's a very good player. We know he can score goals in the Premier League, but I wouldn't mind if Liverpool start the season with Ekitike up top. Carlos Balaba, Ruben Amorim pushing for Manchester United to complete £120 million summer transfer. Red Devils are also said to be keen on signing Crystal Palace midfielder Adam Wharton. Ruben Amorim is pushing for Manchester United to sign Carlos Balaba from Brighton to accelerate a midfield rebuild. Man Utd's struggles last season were well documented. Scoring goals in the Premier League was one major concern, but they have already spent more than £200 million this summer on Matheus Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo, and Benjamin Sesko to transform their attack. Now attentions have turned towards overhauling the midfield department. Balaba is said to have been identified by Amram as the perfect addition to the Man United squad, given Manuel Ugarte's inconsistent performances in addition to Casemiro not getting any younger. Although it has been reported that the Red Devils have seen a first bid for the 21-year-old rejected, as Brighton have little interest in selling the Cameroon international. However, the Independent insists Man United are still actively trying to complete a deal for Balaba in this window, and the Seagulls are understood to want around £120 million. The report states that the United hierarchy are currently figuring out how to construct a payment package, with one consideration to offer an initial £80 million with the rest made up of add-ons. Furthermore, it has been claimed that the Red Devils will almost certainly try again for Balaba next summer if they can't strike an agreement with Brighton before the current window slams shut. The club's long-term plan is to pair Balaba with Adam Wharton in midfield. In fact, it has been suggested that United may try for the Crystal Palace star this summer, but are aware he could cost even more. Meanwhile, they also acknowledge Palace chairman Steve Parish would be unwilling to do business, given that he could yet lose Marc Guéhi and Eberechi Eze. Other midfield alternatives are said to include Sporting's Morten Humelin, who previously worked under Amorim and Atalanta's Ederson, albeit in a slightly different role. No dice for Liverpool. Why Marc Guéhi is set to stay at Crystal Palace despite Premier League champions' transfer interest. Marc Guéhi is set to stay at Crystal Palace for the 2025-26 campaign, despite strong interest from Premier League champions Liverpool. The Reds have been linked with a move for the English defender for a long time now. However, they are far from reaching an agreement with the Eagles over a fee for Guéhi, who is into the final year of his current contract. Guéhi could stay back at Palace. Liverpool remain interested in signing defender, center-back into final year of his contract. Recommended external content video. We need your consent to show you content our editorial team embedded from video. You can toggle this and all other embeds from video across goal.com on with one click only and deactivate as well. Always display video content. I confirm that I would like to see external content. Personal identifiable data could be transferred to third parties. What happened? According to The Sun's Jack Rosser, Liverpool might not land their key transfer target in this summer's window, as Guéhi may well stay put at Selhurst Park. The journalist claims that the Reds are yet to negotiate a valuation of the defender with Crystal Palace, and the delay is proving to be a hindrance in completing the deal. Guéhi is also worried about regular game time at Anfield, which is a major concern for the defender less than a year before the 2026 World Cup. The bigger picture. With the Reds set to miss out on Guéhi, they have instead shifted their focus to Parma's 18-year-old defender, Giovanni Leoni. The English champions are reportedly inching closer to reaching an agreement with the Serie A side, who are demanding €30 million, pound 26 million / $35M, plus bonuses for the young center-back. Did you know? Guhai is into the final year of his contract at Palace and is yet to put pen to paper on fresh terms. The English defender is reportedly planning to see out his deal and might finally leave the club next summer as a free agent. What next for Crystal Palace? Oliver Glasner's side, who recently upset a star-studded Liverpool side and won the Community Shield, will kick off their Premier League campaign on Sunday as they take on Chelsea away from home. Alexander Isak Newcastle transfer situation is sour. It's time for Liverpool to pay up. Liverpool transfer target Alexander Isak's has reportedly made it clear he won't play again for Newcastle United. Newcastle United striker and Liverpool target Alexander Isak's, former Newcastle United midfielder Dan Gosling, believes an Alexander Isak move to Liverpool would suit all parties at this stage of what has become a sour situation for all concerned. Isak's has reportedly made it clear that he won't play for the Magpies again, having seen a £110 million offer by the Reds rejected at the start of August, and the Sweden international has played no part in their summer schedule so far. Isak's was left out of the friendly loss to Celtic last month before citing a minor thigh issue as a reason to avoid flying out on their preseason tour of the Far East. Liverpool, it is understood, are prepared to hold off re-entering negotiations while Newcastle are trying to bring in a successor for Isak's. But with less than 3 weeks left of the window, time is of the essence at St. James' Park, particularly for Howe's nephew Andy, who is overseeing transfer activity this summer in lieu of a sporting director. Gosling, who played for the Magpies for 4 years between 2010 and 2014, told Sky Sports News, "I do wonder if all the noise is coming from Isach or Isak's camp. That's probably the big factor in this. I don't believe professionals are bad lads, bad personalities. I think he fits in well with everything they have done up there the last few years. I think he is one of the main leaders in the dressing room. So for him to come out and say those things, that he won't play again for Newcastle, I'm not too sure. But it's getting a little bit sour now up there, and I think for everyone, to get it done sooner rather than later, and it looks like Isach is on his way out. I think before these last comments come out about him never playing for the club again, I still wonder if that's him or his representatives. If it is him, then I don't see any way back. With that statement, I think there's only one way, and that is to sell him for as much money as you can get. But Liverpool have got to pay the money. Everyone is talking about Liverpool. I don't see any other clubs stumping that amount up. If Liverpool don't pay it, then Newcastle are well within their rights to say, no, you're not leaving. There's 3 years left on his contract, and if the window shuts and he's still there, I am sure there is a way back. I am sure there will be reintegration. Newcastle have reportedly set a £150 million price tag for Isach, and the Premier League champions offer at the beginning of the month was instantly rejected. Alexander Isach may no longer be a Liverpool priority in move-on verdict. The star striker is digging his heels in for a move to Liverpool. Alexander Isach could still arrive at Anfield before the end of the window. Alexander Isach is digging his heels in at Newcastle United, trying to force the club to sell him in the 3 weeks between now and the end of the transfer window. But some fans in the Echo comments section are saying that Liverpool may well need to turn their attention to other issues first, which may scupper the whole deal. Newcastle rejected Liverpool's first bid for their star striker, Isach, and there has been no movement on the Reds' end since. Journalist David Ornstein reports that Isach has no wish to reintegrate with the Magpies squad after being made to train alone, even if he isn't sold this summer. Isach will not feature for Newcastle's Premier League opener against Aston Villa, according to manager Eddie Howe, showing that the relationship between the player and the club has broken down. Newcastle's public position is still that he is not for sale and will be priced accordingly, and it remains to be seen whether any other club will be able to strike a deal for the 25-year-old between now and the end of the window. Some fans think that Isach is no longer the priority for Liverpool, and that events may have passed him by, with the Reds' defense now the focus. Reader WHUIU 2003 says, Isach is a good player, but as a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't want the club to spend £100 million on him. That money would be better spent on getting a good CB. Just move on and build the squad. Commenter. Theshield agrees. We should have dropped the Isach issue ages ago and gone elsewhere. We definitely need a CB as well, so we need to get a move on. Gil says Isach may not be the type of striker they need. I reiterate, it was a mistake to sell Nunez. The defensive weakness is pretty obvious, and it will be costly. Buying Isach is a waste of time and money. We need strong forwards who can fight for the ball. Others say that the Community Shield loss showed that Liverpool still need forwards. Brewski too writes, we cannot lose 3 forwards and replace them with 1 and expect to get the same results. When Ekitike came off in the Palace game, we had no one up front, no recognized striker. We need a couple of strikers unless Slot intends to use Rio. If that's the case, we still need a world-class striker. Things are getting too close to the wire with the Isach transfer for my liking, but who knows? We may hopefully pull it off. GUHAI is a must for my money. Should we have any injuries during the season, we will have a hole we cannot fill. If Rodrigo is willing to make the switch to Liverpool, then we need to do it, before the likes of Arsenal and City make a move. Biggin says, it's looking unlikely we will sign Isach, which will be a major blow. There is no way we win the league with our present attack and defense. On our Facebook page, Sharon Lowe says, Isach has made all the right moves in his decision to want to play for Liverpool. Now they need to put in the right offer to prove their intent. Ben Spindler writes, Ekitike was brilliant at Wembley, but I think Isach scores the 2 he missed, and we win that into the 90, taking nothing away from Palace though. DD says, after the game yesterday, after the haste to sell Diaz and Nunez, we should buy him. JT adds, £150 million is not worth it. Go get 2 more CBs in, then sign another affordable striker. Newcastle fans are naive. They talked about punishing Isach by putting him on reserves, not playing him, not paying him, etc. I'd say go ahead, do that to an already disgruntled player. By January, the fans in Eddie Howe can't wait to offload Isak'S.